Thank you and welcome. And I am thrilled to have the final moments in a day full of many wonderful moments where speakers have inspired, empowered, surprised us, and challenged us. And I too would like to challenge you as we discuss the importance of living spontaneously as a vital component of our human condition. First, I would like to begin with a little illustration. Are you game? All right. All right, well done. Okay, what just happened? Okay, I threw the ball, our guest caught the ball. Okay, but what really happened? Okay, what was going on? Clearly, he has some context and some knowledge. He knows that this is a tennis ball and not a bomb, right? He's got some context for this exercise. Number two, he has some skill. Clearly, he's caught and thrown many, many balls. What, baseball, basketball, soccer, football? All of them. Okay, there you go. So we have context, we have skill. But today, what I am really interested in speaking to you about is the third component here, and that is his spontaneous response. Okay? The mind sees, the body responds. Okay? I didn't have to explain anything. It just happened in the moment. So let's take another illustration. Let's enter the world of the jazz musician. Okay, so again, let's look at our three elements. We have context and content. Indeed, I've spent my life in jazz music, 35 years plus playing this music, so I have some knowledge of the idiom. I have some knowledge of content. I know some tunes. What if we were to take a tune like Billy Strayhorn's Take the A Train? Okay, we characterize tunes by the melody. Okay, so let me just play a little bit of that for you. So it's... and so on. Okay, so all right. And so on. Okay, so a little bit of melody, that's what defines one tune from another in my world, in the jazz world. Okay, the second thing we want to address is skill. Okay, as a jazz musician, clearly I've spent a little bit of time at the piano, so there's a little bit of skill there. I also, as an improviser, need to master the skills of melody, harmony, and rhythm. Now, the most important of these is rhythm, because jazz has a particular time feel that's associated with it. And one of the simplest illustrations I can give you to talk about that time feel is that there's a pulse or an emphasis on beats 2 and 4. So I'm going to ask you to participate with me and establish a little bit of what we would call in jazz music a groove, all right? So here's 2 and 4. Can you help me? Very good. Okay, so you have now become my rhythm section, and you are engaged in spontaneous response, participating with me in my act of playing a jazz tune. Now, I'm going to play, again, a little bit of the melody, and then I'm going to digress from the melody, and I'm going to begin to improvise. Now, I'm relying on you to keep that groove nice and solid so that we can pull this off. Are you up to it? You are. Okay, here we go. All right. I'll start with a bit of the melody, and then I'll turn to you and let you know when I begin to make up my own stuff, to improvise. Okay, here we go. That's good. Sounds good. Still on the melody, right? I'm going to improvise now. Thank you. Thank you. So, two little illustrations about responding kinesthetically. Throwing a ball, okay, playing jazz music, where I have to pay attention to the moment. In fact, the moment is the most important thing about what I'm doing. Now, another aspect of this that I'd like to discuss is how we feel when we're engaged in this activity, okay? Are we thinking about the past? Are we thinking about the future? What sort of cocktail am I having at the Ave in a few minutes? Probably not. We're probably not thinking about any of those things. We're probably thinking about the moment, all right? That's all we can think about. Thanks. So, many great thinkers have addressed this particular activity. Great psychologist Mihai Csikszentmihalyi talks about a state of flow that great athletes engage in, or superior performances are attained. And the feeling that these athletes have is that nothing else in the world seems to matter, that only the moment exists. Great educational thought leader Ken Robinson speaks about aesthetic experience, that moment when mind and body and soul are fused together in a performance. A little closer to home for me, one of my great mentors, trumpet teacher Bill Adam, used to speak about energy ready. We've all felt that feeling on the edge of a swimming pool when we're about to jump in. That's the state that we're in when we're engaged in kinesthetic response. Absolutely absorbed in the moment. And I would like to further conjecture that not only are we interested in this state and in this activity, but we're obsessed, we're fascinated by it. Look at our fascination with professional athletes, with professional sports, baseball, basketball, soccer, the Olympics. Sure, we respect the knowledge and the orientation that our athletes have. We respect the skill that they have, having learned their craft or their sport, but most of all, we're fascinated by that moment, that face-off that happens spontaneously, kinesthetic response. And if you look at our fascination with reality TV shows like American Idol or MasterChef, okay, we're not only interested in seeing a former contestant like Kelly Clarkson deliver a beautiful ballad, what can she do in the moment? We're almost even deviously fascinated by what the unpredictable Simon Cowell is going to say in response after the performance. And in MasterChef, we love to see these young novices pitted against each other, but no moment is more poignant when they have to face off around the mystery box challenge, right? Where they don't know the ingredients that they're going to have to work with. Okay, well, clearly none of us, or few of us, will be Kelly Clarkson or, thankfully, Simon Cowell. or Michael Jordan or a Serena Williams. But I would like to conjecture that kinesthetic response and this experience is much more universal than we might think. In fact, it's part of our everyday lives, so much so that we don't even know, all right? Who knows what clothes they're wearing tomorrow when they wake up in the morning, or what they're having for breakfast, or with whom? Or, check this out, who knows the next word that's going to come out of their mouths? I would say none of us do. And why is that? That is because speaking, our very fundamental act of human communication, is an improvised activity. It relies on us being thoroughly in the moment, okay? Even as I speak to you now, what's going through my mind? Well, let me tell you, I have this compulsion to convey an idea to you. It starts as this stirring feeling in my gut, that says, how are you going to get this idea across? And it sort of winds its way up, and then my ideas start to happen. I get these thoughts and ideas. I still don't have words. I really haven't put it together yet. But then, by the time they all get to my lips, boom, there's my idea. There are my words. Kinesthetic response. Just checking. He's still awake. All right. Okay. Good. He's in the moment. Good to see. All right. Great. So, if indeed this capacity for kinesthetic response, and in fact the actual activity of kinesthetic response is such a part of our everyday lives, the next question is, how do we go about sharpening our skills in this area, increasing our capacity? And the answer would be the same way we go about increasing our capacity as a pianist or as an athlete. We do it by practicing. Well, you ask me, how do you practice the spontaneous? That is pretty tricky. It's pretty tricky, but we throw ourselves into situations that are new or unfamiliar. We learn a new language. We learn a musical instrument that we haven't played before. We even try a new ethnic food. Perhaps we volunteer to speak at a TEDx conference. Right? We throw ourselves into the deep end. And will we trip? Will we fall? Absolutely we will. I promise you we'll drop some balls. I promise you we'll play some sour notes. I promise you that it won't all come out smelling like roses every time. It will not. But, and this is my interpretation, as we embrace our mistakes and we embrace just the right amount of wrong, within ourselves, within our efforts, then we will eventually get there. We will increase our capacity for spontaneity. So I say to you, whether we're catching tennis balls or playing a little jazz piano or engaging in lively conversation, we are engaged in the act of kinesthetic response. The mind sees or hears, the body responds. We can look to a long list of superior athletes, performers, entertainers, artists, and see how their mastery of the moment has affected their careers. Indeed, in our own lives, we can look at our best work as a reflection of our capacity to be in the present. So I would challenge you to not have a preoccupation with the past, or to be anticipating too thoroughly the future, but to live completely and fully and spontaneously in the moment.